There was a book written a few years ago called Fire in the Minds of Men, and it was about communism and the devotion of communists. I did not read the book, but I've heard enough reviews about it to know, and the concept is very simple. If Karl Marx was accurate, that the history of the human race is basically the history of economics and the haves and the have-nots and class warfare, and wresting the power of capital away from an elite who are oppressing the poor. If all of that is true, well then, let's try and establish a Marxist, a communist utopia. Now, the communist was a threat. Right? Communism is still alive and well. Don't kid yourself. Over 1 billion people live under the heel of communism in communist China, not to mention North Korea. So if what Karl Marx was saying was true, then hey, let's all get about the business of creating this Marxist utopia. But if it's not true, we resist it. So the communist, the individual who believed in communism, he wanted to spread communist propaganda, which has an element of, this is pretty good, to the poor especially. And many of them were willing to fight to establish communism. And fight they did. Right? Well, the one thing about the communist fighting is, guess what? He didn't want to die. Because he didn't believe in God. He didn't believe in heaven or hell. He just would have gone away. He wouldn't get to enjoy the fruits of his communist labor. Well, he still had fire in his mind. He still had a vision. But it didn't include the next life. The Muslim, however, he believes in heaven. He believes in hell. And he believes because Muhammad told him, over and over, Muhammad told him, that if he died in battle, facing the enemy, not turning his back to them, but facing the enemy, that when he stood before Allah, his blood, the wounds of his demise would open and the blood would begin to flow, but it would smell like musk, an aphrodisiac, a scent that would sexually excite who? The virgins he was about to get. Muhammad promised him 70 virgins. Muhammad promised him that he could intercede for members of his family from his position in heaven, and they would get to heaven. So the communist says, I don't want to die because I want to be down here and enjoy the fruits of my communism. The Muslim says, I would rather live and enjoy life here for a while, but if I die, I'm not really dead. I get to be married to 70 virgins and have unlimited sexual activity. My blood will smell like musk. It will excite these virgins. And from my place in paradise, I'll be able to ask Allah to let in a good number of my family members, and they'll even get to come to paradise because of my one act of devotion to Allah, where I go and I face my enemy and I kill and I am killed. Do you see how dangerous that is? How unstoppable that is? And if it's true, if what Muhammad said is true, if these words of Muhammad are true, then the Muslim terrorists aren't terrorists at all. They're evangelists, and they're servants of God Almighty.